So,
I just turned recording on. So when we're done, I can scoop this up and slice the recording into the segments that we want. If there's any bloopers or whatever, we'll take them out.
nice.
Okay.
Now, bloopers, what? Come on.
So there's a couple ideas we had about doing this podcast. And I guess the purpose of this was, it's more or less an experiment. So in a sense, it's like that movie Inception, where we're doing PDSA instead of PDSA, instead of dreams, levels of dreams.
What level are we at, right?
I think we're at 3.
It might be Inception and Matrix mixed.
Yeah. But that's a cool concept. So that's one of my favorite movies, by the way, the first one with Keanu Reeves.
I've got this is my movie room.
That's
in the back. You can see posters in
over
the back.
Your right shoulder. Yeah, I see it.
Matrix in the back, and next to Casablanca and Young Frankenstein. So 3 of the all-time best movies of all time.
Again, the purpose of this, and just in case we leave this in the cut for people to understand where we're coming from, we heard feedback that people want more examples, would like to see it practiced, or would like to start practicing PDSA in our own work, whether it's in Process Alliance or within clients. And my take, and I think your take too, is, well, it's there. And maybe the issue is people don't recognize it. And that could be a critical step for Plan, Do, Study, Adjust when you're getting started, is to recognize the opportunities. So in this sense, we're saying maybe we can practice recognizing the opportunities by seeing what's already in practice. So we had wave 1 of our problem solving at Process Alliance coaches deliver the foundational training on Plan, Do, Study, Adjust to wave 2. And you and I had did a debrief with the wave 1 coaches. We got some of that feedback. And then you and I needed to do an after action review for ourselves on how did we do coaching wave 1, and how did wave 1 do coaching wave 2, and how's the whole program coming together? What have we learned from it? Where's it going? And then it kind of dawned on us, hey, wait a minute, we're naturally doing Plan, Do, Study, Adjust, but that is what it is. That thinking process, that need for a reflection or after action review or study, as we call it, Plan, Do, Study, Adjust, is outright practicing it. And unless you use the vernacular, the terms, people new to this methodology may not pick up on, hey, we're actually doing it. So the idea was, hey, let's do a podcast and let's do a couple of these. So you had an example from a book. And I thought, well, in a real short term, we could do a Plan, Do, Study, Adjust on our startup of problem solving at PA. So I'll start. Our plan was to set up a framework, set up some expectations for what we're trying to do. Our hypothesis, the expectation was, let's come up with a methodology. So, a model in our why for Process Alliance. We want to be a better model for how problems are solved and solutions are delivered. We want it to be consistent, not that it's the only methodology, but something consistent, something our clients would take notice of. It was effective. It was scalable. It was something we all ascribe to at Process Alliance. We all get good at, to the point where clients notice and say, there's something distinct about you guys. There's something you're doing. We want you to keep doing it. Or better yet, could you teach us to do it? So that was kind of our goal. And our hypothesis was, let's start with something simple, something that worked for us as master black belts at Lilly. DMAIC worked, but it wasn't simple and it's not unique. And something also, we wanted a platform we could bring in our PA culture, and Lean really lends itself to that, because I think they're very aligned. And this Plan, Do, Study, Adjust thing was a good vehicle that folded into that. So that was our theory. If we use Plan, Do, Study, Adjust, focus on that, and then build it out from there, we could build something that all of us at PA could use. And there was evidence already, because the leadership is doing this. And then we started with 4 good candidates in wave 1. I think they really impressed us, and we turned the materials over to us. So that was almost like a second arm of this experiment, is we let go and we test their understanding by letting them shape this. it could be even better. And we let them go. They did make demonstrable changes to the slide deck and the delivery and the amount of time. And so here we are, looking back, you and me, the doing is done. That was our plan. The doing is done. That was our theory. And now you and I are reflecting on that, kind of studying, okay, what went well and what could have gone better. So let's start with what went well. What surprised you from wave 1's ownership and delivery to wave 2? I know you didn't see all of it, but from what you did see, what surprised you in a positive way? What do you think worked out well? And why? What did we learn?
Yeah, just to kind of recap just what you said, just to model, and I agree with what you said. I'm just gonna put it in a kata terms just as a good framework. So, I look at the direction you said, hey, we want a model that's effective, that clients notice, that is easily incorporated into a PA culture, right? So that's a longer term direction. So training doesn't do that, right? That's the longer term element. I also noticed that it is a model, not a particular model. And I think that's a strong positive for the experiment that we've done through the 2 waves, is that they're incorporating it into their PA culture. Now there's feedback back and forth, and it'll change, and we talked about that. But that PDCA experiment helped drive some of the discussion about what is our way of doing it, right? And so I think we really saw that in wave 2, because they took the slide deck, and that's a kind of a physical thing that and they made it their own. Now, in the reflection, I think we saw that there was some good discussion back and forth, and we could see some of the same context of the discussion that we saw in Lily is, why do we really, this was really too easy. Do we want to, it was easy to get to levels. Well, really, that wasn't the purpose. Purpose was, right? So it's like, oh, okay, that actually worked. That was what our purpose was. That's, so don't change that, because that's important, right? If you have too hard of a challenge, you won't go through your iterations fast enough. So I think that was good. I don't know if that's fully recognized on folks yet. So I think the wave 3 will be able to see that. Documentation was another thing that I thought was good discussion, and why am I writing this down? It's so easy. Well, it is easy this time, but eventually you get stuck. And somebody
said that. They made that. They echoed that, articulated that realization. I think they realized it. I think Scott brought that up, and some others said, yeah, but when it gets harder, this becomes more valuable. And they even, I don't know if it was Scott or someone else, said, this is a good thing because it slows your thinking down. And that makes you a better thinker. I was impressed when that came out.
Yeah, so I think we could do better at in each wave of establishing a target condition each time, so that there is a measure of success for each wave. Was, the target condition could be time-based, it could be
agreed,
it could be exam-based. We talked about testing, how do we show success? So that is a
so you're talking about the exercise, right? The exercise
Correct.
Itself. But I think what you just said could apply to the administration or the teaching or the conveying of this as well. For each time we interact with a new wave, what is the target condition? And someone said that. Christian said that. What can we test them? Or maybe it was Jack said that. Can we test them? Do we know if we hit our learning objectives, our target objectives? So he's saying it. He just he didn't say target condition, but it's the same thing.
Well, you could try that as an experiment, right? That could be our target condition for wave 3 is, we're gonna see results because our exams are going to be all above 80%. Blah blah blah. I also think the other thing that's very positive, and the thing that I really appreciate with you and with Umberto and with other folks that
Umberto's one of our master black belts back in the Lily days.
Sure.
For those tuning in.
Yeah. I think the reflection period is not a survey. I see surveys all the time, and I can count on one hand the surveys that actually were valuable, and I've seen
They're
hundreds.
informative, but they're not as rich.
Yeah, it's the conversation, and oh, what the reflection revealed. Oh, they want more, and so the
Yeah.
podcast came from that. We would have never come up with this as a, oh, maybe this should be an experiment that we try that. And I can't remember who said it. It's like, oh, we need more information about different models. That would be
Yeah.
good. And the
Yep. I think Jessa was
reflection.
asking for that.
Yeah, so I think those are the things that I think from the two waves I learned, and I didn't see the delivery of wave two, but I got a sense a lot of it from the reflection. So that to me is why the reflection period is so important.
You were there. You were still recovering from the flu, but you were there in part A of the workshop.
Correct. Yeah.
I agree with everything that you said. I would say what I learned that kind of moved me was this letting go. You and I kind of let go of our baby. We let go of the material, turned it over to wave one, and that was intentional. We thought we created that from the eyes of experience, but I think they dramatically improved it from the eyes of the learner because it was fresh for them. They knew it was confusing, and I think what they did to that first 30-minute delivery was a dramatic improvement so that the next wave, because I sat there and I observed it and I thought, oh man, this just makes so much more sense to me now. It was my material, your material. It made so much more sense the way wave one delivered it. And then the other thing that struck me was Remy said how much it made sense after he delivered it. And I said, what was your point of inflection? Like, when did it click for you? And he says, when basically I had to prepare to deliver this. And it took me back to my master black belt days going, oh yeah, that happened to me too. So when you engage and become, the instructor, the facilitator, the teacher, you double down your energy and you really, because you're anticipating questions. You're going to try to make it make sense. And
But
then people are going to ask questions.
You don't want them to stump the instructor, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it gets real. And I think that was another kind of rediscovery. I think I realized it when I was going through the MBB program at Lilly, but now these two waves get to do that and do it over and over and plan, do, study, adjust this whole thing. So for me, the learning here was about the letting go. Folks are probably smarter than you ever give them credit for. You always, with plan, do, study, adjust, it's cyclical. You always get a chance to come back and make it better. It's not one and done. It's not the World Series, bottom of the ninth, and if you don't hit a home run, we lose. It's not that. Most of the time, it's not that. And so slowing down, letting others play your role. I saw that too as I was watching the coaches, our new Wave One coaches. They did a great job of just observing, not interacting hardly at all. And yet they were paying attention, which was evident when they came back together in a room and the feedback they gave, because it was like they were reading my notes, and I know they weren't. So those were all positive things. Is there any one thing that you think we should do differently, do better, or do going forward as we bring wave one and two together? So this is kind of what did we learn that we need to make an adjustment to? Anything strike you?
Just what I think at some point you need to talk about scale, because there's a lot of people at PA. At this rate, you'll get through everybody in 2027. And I don't think you want to wait that long. So there's one point is, okay, how do you bring this to scale? And then I think the podcast is a brilliant add to answer a need in terms of how do we share PDSA examples and what we're learning in a it could be somebody's PDSA project. I was thinking of who's some of your marketing people. This is internal marketing now. It's like, oh, do you have a podcast
Oh yeah.
methodology, right? Blah blah blah. So that I think is filling the need of what are the different models. Situational leaders, how does situational leadership fit in this? How does the grow model fit into this? How can I use this? while still using experimentation. Situational leadership is a little dip, blah, 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 blah. And those would be good podcasts. You don't need to do training on those. They can get the book and go to training if they want, right? And you can decide as a company whether you pay for that, right? But it's like, oh, here's what's it. We can do a podcast and give the elements of situational leadership in 10 minutes and then talk about the implications of how that works with PDSA, right?
Well, that's our theory, right? Because we know that podcasts are successful. Joe Rogan. Don't know if our podcast will be successful. So we have a plan. We're doing it right now. We need to get feedback from those of you listening. Give us our feedback. Is the content great, but the delivery sucks? Are we talking too fast? I know I'm high energy on this stuff. Do we need to be more articulate, more superficial, more deep? Give us your feedback when you hear this. Chat down in the comments. I don't know what the forum is. We'll put this on. We've got a new application called Playbook. It might be something I try out with. But I want people to be able to respond and give us feedback so we can do that study and adjust.
The one additional thing is, as we begin to apply experiments in lots of different areas, one element that I think grounds people back to the experimental methodology is, what are you trying to achieve in this brief period of time? I don't know what this is not a strategy development 2029. No. How about Thursday, February 1st? What's your target condition and when are you going to achieve it? Oh, for this next one, it might be wave 3 and we're going to do exams because we want to know the numbers, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I think target condition is an important element of any project because it forces you to now. It's now. It's yes, we're going slower to go faster, but the cadence is on all, that cadence.
So let me challenge you with that.
Okay.
So we just did a rollout, foundational plan, do, study, adjust. How do you think we did against our target condition? I missed it. What would you say?
I don't think we had one. Did we?
Well, I think it was to get people to have a basic understanding of plan, do, study, adjust. And clearly there's evidence of it because they were answering questions. Wave 1 was answering questions effectively.
I'll just answer it then with, okay, let's be more deliberate about it. How's that? And let people know that's what I mean. And
I would say one of the implied
it could be wave three. Wave 3 could be the target condition is no different. We say, you know what? We just need more reps, right? We want to do it a couple times. Right. Okay.
I'd like to see a target condition as people are starting to practice this more and keep track. How much are you actually doing it? Whether it's outside of work, at work. And I think we had a good start. When you and I were doing coaches to the wave 1 coaches, every other week check-ins or weekly check-ins. But I think it's kind of lost. And I would say now we're kind of missing that target condition. I think this podcast is an effort to help move the needle on that. Maybe when we get wave 1 and wave 2 back together, we address that. But I think, learning it is one thing, but you don't really learn it from a classroom or a workshop. You learn it by really doing it and studying it with a coach.
And so that's one thing that I'm going to do different too, is, my coaching was asking if there was coaching needed. Instead, I'm going to turn the table and say, hey, I need some coaching. And I want to talk to you about, Jessa and Jack. It's like, okay, hey guys, I want to talk to you about a project I'm working on, and begin. And it's not going to be work. It's going to be HOA stuff, or it's going to be beehives, or it's going to be. It's like, okay, hey, let's 15 minutes. Just 15 minutes, and begin that cadence of, hey, we should do this on a monthly basis. You and each of you should invite, and so that's 3 sessions a month. Me, Jack, and say, oh, okay, boom, boom, boom. That gives them 3 opportunities, 2 as a coach, and then you could even get into the, hey, Jesse, you're going to play the coach's coach. Jack, you're going to be the coach. I'm going to be the learner. Okay, nice. Next time, right? And so, I do like the, the theory of 3 here is important.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's one of the
We can make that another
reflection on.
podcast.
Yeah, and then the podcast can actually be, you can be whatever, right? Then it's just
I mean, maybe Jessa and Jack do the podcast for that. You know, what did you learn? What was the goals? And just share it in a PDSA format. All right. So this doesn't get too long. I was hoping just like 10 minutes or less. What's one thing we need to adjust? You feel, and it doesn't mean we've all agreed, but one thing you feel we should adjust going forward, and you can reiterate anything you just said or something new.
I like the other thing is in a reflection. I like I don't know who was really driving it, but it was, hey, what are we waiting for next year for? Let's go now, right? So the immediacy and the urgency is great. That needs to continue. I like that, and just what we already said. There's the experiment is working. I think we need to, begin to have more iteration and focus on the demonstration and evidence that PDCA is taking hold in different avenues, right? It can be, the podcast, but it could also be, hey, in the meeting, for the next group meeting, Jessa, I want you to be the coach. I want you to observe and coach from a PDSA perspective and give me some feedback, stuff like that. And
I like that. Really good.
So I think maybe those opportunities just aren't evidence. Oh, do you think you could be a coach, a fly on the wall coach to somebody that's leading a meeting? That kind of might be a way for them to, for everybody to participate.
That's a great self-serving idea, self-serving to our cause. Right. And it's exactly what they're asking for. Let's practice deliberately, intentionally, overtly practice PDSA.
It's like, hey, you've been through this course. Say, hey, Jessa, I need you to be the coach. And you can even kind of make that as a thing. Every meeting, we're going to have a coach, and they provide a feedback.
Yeah. And a timekeeper will have a coach.
Right. And so that becomes they're more than a fly on the wall. They're invited to participate in a very different level than just attending. They're just not attending, which is what most of us are in meetings, right? There's 3-5 people that are very active, and the rest of us are just watching, right? This adds that is a participant for maybe very young people that haven't had that opportunity before.
So my adjustment isn't, it's two, and I'm going to fold them into one. It echoes what you said. Let's be more deliberate, intentional about doing this. Combine that with, I just want to see people do it more. Outside of when we're meeting, I want to see people doing it more. And so I combine those two together, that if when we're together, we intentionally practice it, it maybe gives people that comfort and the observations of how to do it on their own. And I also want to say, again, anytime you do something, anything, brush your teeth, drive to work, plan a vacation, buy a house, whatever it is you do, it is an opportunity, not a requirement, but an opportunity to plan, do, study, adjust something. You can always have a plan before you do it, and then reflect on how did that go? Did it meet our expectations? Did we handle new information well? That kind of thing. And it's just like Chris Argyris used to say, double loop learning.
Yep.
So that's my adjust, is get people to do it more. And let's start, as you said, by being more deliberately when we're together doing it, and by assigning a coach. I love that idea. Okay, can we wrap this podcast? Put a bow on this podcast? I'll cut this out, make a podcast, and somehow find a way to blast it out.